Well, this was the big one. This is the one that changed a lot of people's lives. When this flood wall collapsed on the Orleans Parish side of the 17th Street Canal, it flooded a huge, huge area of New Orleans, all the way down to the Superdome, way down there. Because when these walls collapsed, they flooded the northern end of Orleans Parish. On the opposite side of this canal is Metairie, and Metairie stayed dry. But over here, people had 8, 9, 10 feet of water in their houses. Now just imagine in front of me, there were 15 houses here. And when those flood walls fell down, the amount of water and the force of the water was so great that basically the whole of Lake Pontchartrain was draining into this neighborhood. And it really was devastating. And the thing that's important to understand that there's a difference between a flood wall and a levee. Everybody says, oh, the levees broke. No, the levees were fine. A levee is 100 feet wide at the base, 22 feet high to a 13-foot wide top, with large sloping sides on it. But these flood walls are little berms. They're only 25 feet wide at the base, and then they put a shear wall down the middle of it, and they drive that shear wall down into the soil until they believe it's deep enough to keep the water from going underneath it. But that's exactly what happened here. So the water went down, it went under, it put the whole thing in suspension, and then they had what is known as a pressure break. And in a pressure break, the wall moves back and then it collapses inwards. And so that happened because the shear wall did not go deep enough. It went as deep as the Army Corps of Engineers could put it relative to the budget that they had when they did it 25, 30 years ago. They asked for more, but they weren't given the money to be able to do it any deeper. They wanted it to go 40 feet, but they only had the money to do it 25 feet. And they hoped that that would work, and obviously here it did not. I took a little flight over New Orleans, and as we flew over the 17th Street Canal repair, I noticed that this cofferdam that the Army Corps of Engineers had built to be able to restabilize that portion of the wall had a really interesting and peculiar shape to it. So I refined it into a shape that would be a combination of carved micarta, a plastic that I use, and corrugated silver, and made it pretty much look exactly like the cofferdam